Good afternoon, this is Dutchman420 again. Just watching a little YouTube here and learning about slurry tests. Something I learned about a week ago. And I did do a video about a runoff test. But a runoff test isn't supposed to be as accurate as a slurry test. So what is a slurry test and how do you do one and why is it better than a runoff test? That's what we're going to cover in this video. So let's go do a slurry test and figure out what it is. Alright, so to do a slurry test, first of all, a slurry test is just like it sounds. A slurry is like sort of like a snowball or whatever, man. It's like a mixture of two things together. So what it is it's dirt, and you're going to get your sample from about 3 inches down into the root ball. Just kind of dig it out with your fingers. I kind of picked it from a couple different spots in the planter or the pot or whatever, the cloth pot. So I got about a half a can of dirt, or sphagnum peat moss, I guess is really what it is. So what I got is 2 containers. I got one here and one here. I'm going to dump the dirt in one, and you're supposed to add almost the same amount of water, p.h'd water. So let's see here. Alright, I got my nutrient bucket here, and it's reading 6.52, 6.51. Since it's circulating in the bottom of the tank with the pump, it's fluctuating between 1 and 2. So we'll say it's 6.51. Actually, now it just went. What it does is, I've noticed, if you leave this for a couple hours, it'll drift up to 6.7, 6.6. Like, I left it overnight and came back and it went up to 6.7 all the way from 6.5. So you gotta watch that. You can't leave your shit. You gotta recheck everything. So 6.52 we'll say. So I'm gonna get the water from this bucket and we're gonna make a slurry. Alright, I've retrieved about 8 ounces of water, or 200 milliliters. These containers are really handy. They got cups on one side, milliliters on the other. So I'm going to dump the dirt in here, and I'm not going to use all this water. First I'm going to fill up the can. And probably just use about that much. So what I did is I filled up this little can of cat food halfway with dirt, and then I filled it up with the p.h'd water. And what you do is you make this slurry. It's like a thick sample for your pH meter to take a reading out of. Now let's get the pH meter and see what we got. Alright, what I did is I sat this up on a little lid, so that way it's kind of at an angle. And that way we got enough fluid down in the bottom of the container to do a test. So it's 6.9 basically. It's a little high. And that's because I threw that limestone in there. But it's not that bad, you know what I mean? From what I've heard. 7 being the highest, you know what I mean? But 6.95, 6.94. And then, of course, when I fertilize again, so what I'm going to start doing is using 6.3 water. Since this shit's at 7, bring it down a little bit. Alright. Ladies and gentlemen, that is how you make a slurry. Now, what I am going to do also, I think, is I'm going to double check this with the buffer solution. That'll be kind of a mess. I don't think I'll be able to read it, honestly, so I'm not going to do that because of the color of the dirt. But I could strain it So 6.97, 6.98, and that is the pH of my dirt. And the reason that is because I'll put the little cut in the video of why Scott Osselander from Nectar. If you're a Nectar head, you know who that is.
It's not here. Okay, so Scott's not here, but I got it. I sent him a text. I got him on the phone, and I said, I asked him the question, and he said,
the runoff solution running out of the bottom is all the salts and acidic matter that are pushed to the bottom of the container every time you are watering. The active nutrient absorbing root zone will be in the higher region of the soil. If you check those numbers from the top layers of the container with this slurry test, that will give us a better understanding as to what is happening in the medium and what your plants are accessing.
so there you go.
Now, of course, after you're done the slurry thing, you're going to want to clean your equipment and, of course, cap your... You always want to keep the bulb in this thing wet. Don't let the bulb dry out on your pH meter. So what I do, I just hang mine in my solution or my water bucket. It keeps the tip a little bit wet. Plus, I can check the solution at the press of a button. I'd like to get one of them blue lab meters, but they're like $250 for the multimeter. But so ladies and gentlemen, that is how you make a slurry and check your pH, and also we can do a parts per million also on there if you like. I am just kind of curious. I did a parts per million check the other day and it was high, and that was because my pH was down at 5.4. But now it's gone higher because that was the plant that I checked, the one that was off. So now my pH is up. We should start getting some newts in ASAP. Well, everyone look at this water and keep nice and cool because it's 100 and some degrees where I am. And I'm sure it probably is where you are too. But if you got a pool, jump in. I almost feel like jumping in this bucket of dechlorinated water here. It looks like a jacuzzi. Make a jacuzzi for myself. Oh, there's that music again. So I guess that means it's time to hit the road. Until then, keep cool, and everybody keep on growing and smoking.